Tell us about our voice results.
So, last year we focused on 5 key areas. Commitment to quality work, the appraisal process, development and opportunities to grow, reward and recognition, and the appraisal process. And in every single one of those, we saw significant increases in our score year on year in terms of perception and engagement. So for example, we had quite a low score about people's feelings around the appraisal process. So through a series of educations and training on both the process, but more importantly, the how to give and receive feedback, we saw that score increase by over 1, which is pretty big on the Gallup scale. In fact, in all 5 of our focus areas, we saw the scores increase by a minimum of 0.2 and normally around 0.5 to 1.
What you have done or what you are doing that you believe contributed to your results?
So there were 3 key areas that have really made all the difference to our results from 17-18. Firstly, and I think perhaps most importantly, we spent a lot of time with the team in various groups really trying to understand the root cause of the results. So I think by sort of definition and design, the Gallup questions are pretty open to interpretation, and that's doubled when you're considering that all my team are dealing with English as a second language, so they won't necessarily pick up the nuance that a native English speaker might get automatically. And so, for example, a best friend at work could mean something very different to a Korean than it might do it to an English person or American. And so just to look at the results and see, well, okay, people don't think we are developing them. Why is that? We had to understand what the team understood was development. Was it promotion? Was it training? Was it anything else? So we spent a lot of time really getting into what do these results actually mean to you. The second element that made a big difference was having a really, frankly, very detailed and precise action plan. We're dealing with a lot of sort of intangible concepts as part of the questions, the commitment to quality work. What does that actually mean? And more importantly, what are the actions that you can take that's going to make a tangible difference? And we spent a lot of time working through this. We ended up having 20 different work streams that would answer the root causes that came out of our big 5 topics. So for example, in the commitment to quality work area, one of the root causes that came out was that the team didn't feel they were getting clear enough briefing and ownership accountability from their line managers. So rather than just saying, okay, we will do better here, we figured out a much better briefing form and a RACI to ensure that the briefing process was as good as it could be to improve that. And obviously it made a big difference. And then finally, the final area that made a difference was clear accountability. So out of those 20 work streams that we developed over the year, each and every one of those had a named person who was responsible for delivering it across the whole team. It wasn't just sitting at the people managers level, but everyone in the team had to contribute and own a work stream that they were going to lead with the help and support of the people managers within the team.
How would you describe what you're accountable for in terms of your team's engagement?
So as the general manager here in Korea, I feel my main priority around this area is just to set the importance of engagement. It's very easy to get really 100% focused on the day-to-day work, keeping a client happy, hitting your revenue targets, delivering those big projects. But if we forget about the people side of it, the engagement, particularly as the general manager, it sort of gives everyone else permission to forget about it as well. So I saw my role in this area was to continue to fly the flag for why engagement was so important, to make it a topic on the agendas of all my leadership team meetings, to talk about it with the team all the time, to keep the pressure on the natural work teams. Have you delivered this? Is this happening? How are we doing on these work streams? That was the role I felt I played, just to put that engagement on the same level as hitting our revenue or keeping our clients happy.
How have other managers on your team contributed to achieving your results?
So as I said, although everyone in the team owned individual work streams, each of the people managers were accountable for one of the big 5 topics that we were focusing on. And it was their job to provide leadership, guidance and help to the individual workstream owners to make sure that both the plan that we came up with, but more importantly, the execution of that plan was done in the best way possible. So everyone played a really important role within the team. I'd also like to call out support we got from both Angela Jin and Kevin Heln in the APAC regional team in supporting us not only with the development of the plan and understanding how Gallup worked, but actually a large amount of our work streams were based around further training and L&D, and both Kevin and Angela came over to Korea and delivered some fantastic sessions that really helped the team grow and develop and directly contributed to some of our good scores.
What was the most valuable insights you got from your state of your team session?
Okay, so the most valuable insight I got, and it's quite Korean specific, I admit, was making sure that everyone in the team had a voice to talk about what these results meant to them and what they'd like to see. Korean culture is very hierarchical and structured, and it is often quite difficult for more junior members of the team to voice criticism or challenge the status quo. So rather than split the teams into a retail team or commercial team and have a grade 4, a grade 3 and 2, etc. in there, we decided it would be more reflective of the Korean culture to split them into groups of grades. So there was a group of 2s and 3s and 4s. That way, everyone within the group had equal standing and felt much freer and safer to voice the concerns and the issues they wanted to see raised and sorted out. And it meant that we got a much better and deeper understanding of the root causes that we need to focus on.
What are you focusing on this year, and what progress do you think you've made 6 months into the year?
So now that we are more experienced in Gallup, we understand what the questions mean and how best to mobilise the team to deliver good results. We've decided that this year will be a little bit more focused. Last year was very big, we had a lot of initiatives, a lot of work streams, and we had some good success. This year we've sort of brought it down just to focus on a couple, specifically around the themes of learning and growing. So in a small team like Korea, development opportunities are both quite hard to come by in terms of actual promotions, but also very important. It's really key that everyone feels they get the right amount of professional and personal development opportunities in terms of training and new chances to work on different things. And so one of the big initiatives we focused on this year is making sure that everyone has a very detailed and again action-focused personal development plan with quarterly objectives and with over-investing in L&D to make sure that everyone is feeling that they are continuing to grow while they work in Daehanbi, Korea.
In what ways are our values helping drive engagement in your team?
Well, given how important it was to really get to the bottom of what was driving the results, to understand that root cause, and for people to be honest and open to voice some criticism, to challenge the established ways of doing it, to challenge some of their more senior people in the team, I would say that from a team point of view, courage was really important. It's not easy for Korean business teams to use an engagement process like Gallup, and I felt the team really stepped up to it. Once they understood how to do it, and we put them in the grade groups, and they felt safe, they really embraced the opportunity to improve their team and how they want to work with each other, and it made a big difference.
What do you love about being a people manager, or what do you love about leading our people?
I think what excites me the most is really getting to understand the motivations and inspiration for all of the people that I work with. Everyone is different, and everyone wants and needs different things. And for me, I take a real pleasure and satisfaction in understanding the psychology of the individual and figuring out what is the one or two things that we really need to focus on to help them develop and become a better version of themselves. There's nothing more rewarding than spending time with individuals, understanding what they want, pointing them in the right direction, giving them some coaching or some specific feedback that really helps them with an area that's important, and then seeing that in action and seeing how they've grown and developed over time.
What's your greatest personal challenges as the manager of our people, and how are you working on it?
So for me, I think The biggest challenge is actually is dealing with the cultural differences that you come across in any kind of overseas role. But it's especially true when you're leading foreigners who don't have the same cultural background as you. As I've mentioned before, Korea has a real focus on age and seniority, and it's often extremely difficult for people that you are leading to open up and really tell you what's on their mind. It's just not part of the cultural makeup of Korea. So consequently, if you're going to be an effective manager, you have to understand what your team is really thinking and what they need, and you don't want them just to pay lip service to you. So you really have to spend a lot of time and effort on sort of developing the personal side of your relationship away from the day-to-day, what's happening in work, what's on your to-do list, and really getting to know them as people as much as employees and team members. And that's not something that we necessarily do as much in the UK and where I'm from, and at times it feels like it takes a bit longer to get to the end result because of that. But I also find that because you've invested that time and effort into those personal relationships, your connection with the people you're leading and work with is that much deeper and stronger, and you're able to potentially do more than you might be able to do if you just have a more superficial working relationship with them.
Which of our values help you most in achieving your goals as a people manager?
So I think really, although all of them play a role, collaboration for me is probably the most important one when I'm managing, particularly when I'm managing as a foreigner in a foreign land. You can't connect with people unless you can listen to them. And for me, collaboration is just about hearing what people want and really listening, and not trying to necessarily impose your style of how you want to lead, but hearing how they want to be led. Everyone has got different styles and different needs, and I think being open to flex your style, be collaborative with the people of how they're going to manage you and you're going to manage them, I think is the most effective and impactful way of managing people.